in Lagos. My name is Wade. Fehintolu, hi, how are you? Great to see you and great to be talking to you. Um,
Yeah,
so,
great to see you.
so
Same here.
tell us a bit more about Fehintolu and what CreditPal has to offer and what CreditPal is all about.
Yeah, so I'm Fehintolu. I'm CEO and co-founder of Credpal. Um, so Credpal is a financial technology company that offers several financial services, to the country. And top of it is our credit cards, um, and also loans too, that allows customers to buy items and pay either in installments or pay at the end of the month. And primarily, our drive is to allow people conveniently access credit, to buy items and then pay later.
Mm. So tell us, Fehintolu, what were you doing before you decided to start Credit Pal? Did you have any work experience, or you just decided, no, I'm going on my own. I'm not working for anybody. I want to be my own boss.
Yeah, so before Credpa, I previously founded a technology company called Exalt Technologies Limited, right? So to your point, right, I worked for a very short period of time after I left university, just less than a year, and then I founded Exalt with two of my friends then, right? And we're providing technology services, to banks, to universities, pretty much, anyone who wanted a good technology service, right? And while I was working, in Exalt for over 5 years, maybe 7 years thereabout, I saw an opportunity come up, and then, I was like, hey, like this is something that is huge. It's going to be able to benefit a lot of Nigerians. Like, I want to pursue it, for the next couple of years.
So, so technically, basically, after like 5 to 7 years, you saw an opportunity. So, what inspired CreditPal uh, uh, and what market are you were you looking at when you started to think about CreditPal and how it was going to shape the market and provide service for customers?
Okay. So the first thing we saw, right? So I am a co-founder. Then, he was running an e-commerce store while I was heavy in the technology space, mostly providing services for banks at that time. That's financial services, right? And then we discovered that a lot of customers were trying to buy, items on his e-commerce store, and they were asking for maybe split payments, or can I buy and pay part of it later or something? And we're like, hey, like if this is a strong need coming out, which we already have faced ourselves. Like I imagine moving to my apartment first time then, and having to wait for 3 to 4 months before I could buy, some gadgets into the house, right? So like, hey, like this seems to be a very huge need for us in Nigeria, right? Can we try and build out a checkout plugin that would allow people just pay for this item in installments as opposed to paying outrightly in cash? And that was where it started off from. So we built out the first checkout plugin for the e-commerce store, and it blew like wildfire. We got a huge demand, for the buy now pay later product, right? And when we saw the opportunity, we're like, hey, like this is something big. We scaled it up to other merchants, we put some more money behind it, by getting lenders to back us, and then we started to go full on into it. And today we offer credit cards too, which means that not only can you shop and pay later, right? You can also have a credit card where you can use to do pretty much anything. And you could get a cash advance, you could buy, you could pay and pay for your bills, you could pay for anything pretty much, with the credit card. So we've taken buy now pay that product, evolved it, and it's now a credit card that is a whole lot more versatile and functional for our customers.
So is it
So you just
basically it's
go
basically
on,
about
Bukola.
gadgets? Sorry, Roger. Is it basically
Go on,
about
Bukola.
gadgets, bills? You don't loan to businesses. It's just for purchase of individual products, and for your comfort.
Yeah, with our credit cards, you can pretty much do anything, right? And the good thing is that once you get a Credpal credit card, without if you don't use it, you don't pay for it, right? So you only pay for what you use. So if I want to buy, for instance, I want to buy coffee, I want to buy food, I can use a Credpal credit card. If I want to buy a gadget, if I want to buy something bigger, I can still use a Credpal credit card, and I only draw down what I need, right? And only pay for what I need at the end of the month, or at the or in installments, right? So for us, it's about providing people with a convenient way of accessing credits. But the good part, like I said, is the fact that you only pay when you use it. So you can have it for a year without using it and you don't pay anything.
Mhm. Okay, interesting.
You know,
But
earlier on you talked about monetizing and getting lenders to back you up. So how has it been raising funds and how has it been you making money from CreditPal or Credpal, sorry?
Yeah, so in terms of funding, right, we have two sources of capital. So first is the debt side, where we have lenders who back us to provide credits to consumers on the front end. And the other side is also raising equity. So equity will allow us to pretty much run our business. So far we've funded our company both ways. When Y Combinator in 2019, and after one we've gone on to raise, significant equity funding in our seed round, and we're gearing up to raise, some more rounds of funding, right? So for us, it's a mix of both equity fundraising, which typically comes, from investors, and also debt financing that comes from other lenders, or people who are willing to put money behind the fintech, to provide these services.
So was it like that initially when you started? How old is Credpal now?
Yeah, Credpal is a little over 2 years now. So initially when we started, the first money came from I am my co-founder, right? And then, but going forward, we talked to some financial institutions who then willingly, backed us, to provide more capital for our loans, right? So initially it was bootstrapped, and then we started raising some funding. We got money from Visa, for instance, in late 2018, and yeah, so since then we've been raising money from both sources.
But getting money like that, wasn't there a bit of a question about having that confidence that, okay, are these men going to actually use this fund judiciously? Because people are quite skeptical about throwing their money into a new project. It's 2 years. You said it's 2 years. So what was that like? What was that experience like?
Well, so the first is, and this is what investors look out for, right? First is having a bit of pedigree. So because I had been the founder of a company before, and my co-founder too also had a bit of experience, on the product side and even building products, right? It was easy for us to at least get our foot in the door, right? To make people listen to us. And the second part was, okay, what are you going to do with the money? What are you building? And that's the most important part, right? Investors need to see that what you're building is something that has a huge potential. So for us, we're trying to build, the American Express of Africa. So for those who don't know, American Express is the largest credit card company, arguably in the world, right? I can't really say for a fact if it's the largest in the world, but it's arguably the largest and most popular credit card company in the world, right? So for us, we're building American Express from Africa, so it's a huge dream. It's one that, it's possible too, because we already have the initial market fit, we had customers who are using our product, we had merchants who are using our product. So we went there, we went to our investors with both our pedigree, as previous founders, and also with a product that was working and had huge market demand, right? So, so I think these are the things that made it a bit easier for us to raise money from all sources we raise money from.
Is your interest rate backbreaking? Your interest
Our
rate?
interest rate is competitive. Sorry, I didn't get that.
I said, is it backbreaking? Interest rate when it comes to credit, people suffer from interest rates.
No, it's not. It's not actually, right? What we strive to do, because we want people to use our credit cards to make purchases, right? It doesn't make sense to buy a TV, and pay 30% per month for a TV. So in 3 months, you're paying about a double of what you're paying for the TV, right? So for purchases, you need to be competitive. So for us our interest rates are very competitive. It's in 1 digit, for instance, right? Typically a customer could get an interest even as low as 2% a month, right? Through Credpal. So we are very competitive, I would say.
So when you look at Credpal and you think about a country or an economy where credit is not really a strong forte, what would you say the challenges are, and how you face, what peculiar challenges are you facing, and how are you surmounting the challenges when you have an economy that the credit history is really not up to par, and you say you want to be the American Express coming out of Africa?
Yeah. So for us, it was our initial challenge, and it's still a challenge for us now, in terms of markets, adopting and wanting credit on the mainstream, and for us, and that's why we came in first from the angle of buy now and pay later, right? It's easy for you to say, okay, buy this phone and pay for it in 3 installments. Everyone wants that, right? Maybe they might not want a cash loan, right? But they want to buy an item and pay later. So for us, the first thing we have to crack is, okay, if we're going to go mainstream, we need to be able to distribute our cards, in the most efficient way, and we leverage merchants heavily, right? So merchants would offer credit cards to their customers to buy items, to pay for anything, pretty much. So that was the first way of us solving that problem, because it was more practical to people to see why they needed credit, especially for purchases, on that side. And for the entire ecosystem, it's been growing. And the good thing is that we are not working alone in terms of, on the consumer credit space. We have some competitors too, and also some allies too in this space who, with combined efforts, we all driving the ecosystem and making it more, we're improving education in the ecosystem, right? So we believe that with time, give or take like 5 years, consumer credit will be mainstream, even as it is in some European countries right now.
So your business operations, what's it like? Is it most of the time remote, or you have a physical structure where everybody gets together, and looking at COVID-19 as well and all of that?
Yeah, so we have a physical structure. We have an office in Lagos, and a part of our team works remotely, while the others go to the office, right? We're doing our best to stay safe. We have a lot of social distancing and COVID-19 guidelines that we follow, right? But the reason why we had to still work from the office is because, for the stage of our company which we're growing, a lot of our employees, want to work from a space where, they're sure that, okay, there's constant power, there are little no distractions, and they can focus on work during the day. So for those employees, they work from the office, while some other ones choose to opt, to work from home remotely.
So where do you see regulation? How does regulation impact your business, and where do you see the impact of regulation, especially with a lot of fintechs going into this space of credit marketing and credit card sales to the consumers? Because like I said, how do you guarantee that at the end of the day, these monies will come back, and your merchants and all will get the real value for the product sold?
Yeah. So in terms of please, can you go back again on the question again?
I said, what has been the impact of regulation on your business, and how will regulation affect your business, especially when you consider the fact that an economy that doesn't have a strong credit history, and your merchants at the end of the day will be calling for the values of the funds, of the products that have gone out from their shelves.
Okay, great. So in the first part of regulation, right, and the good thing is that, we are on the lending side, which means that we are giving out cash. So we have the licenses to back that on our side, and the CBN particularly has been really driving, for the lending to increase and improve in the country. They have mandates that kind of like force the bank to lend more of their money, right? So in terms of regulation, the country is pushing more towards us being able to lend more money, which is a positive one for us, and also alongside with that too, we've had several other policies too that support lending, like the GSI, for instance, that allows you debit money from customers' accounts directly, which is easier for customers and also easier for the lenders too, on that side. So yeah, so I think that the sentiment across the regulatory space and the government side, is favorable, for lenders and that right now. On the history side, we have the credit bureaus, and surprisingly, a lot of people will say, especially people from outside the country, will say, oh, Nigeria's credit space is not structured, there's no information. But most loans that are taken or credit cards are always booked, on the credit reports, at least the negative ones to be clear, right? So that in itself is growing. We're getting more information about customers. Customers who default on loans, are being reported, to the credit bureaus. So I believe that in reality, the ecosystem is fast changing. The space is fast changing, and with a lot of support from the government to, at the moment, and on the last side of the merchants getting value, right? So we have a system that guarantees value for the merchant, right? So a customer goes in, uses this card, the merchant will get value almost immediately based on the settlement period, settlement timeline. But at most it's T+1, that's second day, it gets value for it, right? So our system is designed to provide value for the merchants based on our agreed agreements, and for the customer to, once he meets the requirements for taking a credit card, then why not he gets the credit card and he can use it anytime, anywhere he wants to use it.
Your challenges, what are those challenges you faced starting this business in the past 2 years?
Yeah, so the first challenge was a bit perceived, right? And that's the fact that, customers, it's credit, right? So if you give out money and they don't pay you back, then it's a risk on that side. So the first challenge was the risk associated with lending, which limited our market to a very, very small market. So we're only going to we only gave out credit cards to, a small market of employed people who were in certain types of businesses, right? And that helped us to, on one side, build up our product significantly, and on the second side, to give us a bit of security, because these customers were customers who worked in places and companies that that we could vouch for and all of that. But as we got more confident in the model, as we got more confident in what we're doing and the numbers really spoke to us, then we started opening it up to other market segments, right? So for us, I think the first challenge is the risk side. The second one, was getting funding early in the business. But thankfully, we got funding from mostly investors outside of Nigeria, which was a good one for us. And now the reality of everyone is COVID-19. So that's been the latest challenge for us. It's both affecting our work and even our customers, right? But notwithstanding, demand for credit, the demand for purchases, the demand to, for people to go about and live their lives is still very strong, right? So with that demand being in play, people wanting to buy things, spend money, it's giving us at least a certain level of comfort in being able to further keep driving our product. Demand is increasing day by day, and then people are paying back too, because they are still working and everyone is pretty, as in, it's not so bad in simple terms.
So
Okay.
where do you see your business in 10 years? That's one. And then secondly, how do people get in touch with Credpal?
Great. So you could download our app in the App Store. We have apps in both app stores, Apple and Android. You could also go to the website www.credpal.com and access service. So it's Credpal, CREDPAL.com, right? And then that's to access it. On the second side, to pretty much we have some merchants who would allow you buy with Credpal, but we advise most customers to use our mobile apps particularly.
How do merchants get across to you if they want to partner with you?
Yeah, it's simple. You could send an email to our official hello@credpal.com, if you want to partner with us on that side too. Yeah. So, and regarding the question about where we see ourselves in 10 years time, our vision is simple. American Express, bigger than American Express.
Bigger than American Express.
Because we have an African market. Yeah. We have an African market that is largely untapped, and we have other emerging economies too, like Africa, who we really need our services. So yeah, so that's what we see.
You're going to restrict yourself to Africa?
No, out of Africa means that we want to go to other countries, but we want to be an African company going to other countries.
Okay, that's a good one.
Time is never a friend, but we always have one thing that we ask our guests every time. What is your catchphrase? What wakes you up every morning and gets you going as Fehintolu? So for me, it's a hustler never stops learning until he dies. So what exactly wakes you up every morning and says, I must do Credpal and change the dynamics of business in Nigeria and across Africa?
That's a tricky one, right? So for me, it's more of you can achieve anything you want to achieve, set your mind to, right? It might sound like a cliche phrase, but what I've seen over time is this, right? Whatever you set your mind to achieve, no matter how big it is, once you can picture it and you can see it, then you can achieve it, right? And we've seen this vision. I and my co-founder have seen this vision of American Express, and we've put our mind to it. So that's what wakes us up every morning, like, hey, you can do this, right? And you're the path to doing it. So yeah, so it's been able to see, things and then achieve it.
Okay, so your mind's eye, you have to open it up and say to yourself, I can, and it's possible. No matter how big it is, all dreams are valid.
No matter how big, yeah, all dreams are valid. Yeah, all dreams are valid.
Thank you very much, Fehintolu. Bukola, I hand the mic back to you so that we can come to the end of the show. Thank you, Lagos, for listening to us once again. It's been Business Half Hour, sponsored by Unity Bank and brought to you in conjunction with Nairametrics by Classic.